Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Friday. Yeah, March 3rd. Market was up nice today, but I'm not going to talk about the market, I could sit here and I could say, see, I told you it was going to go up, but it's going to go up, it's going to go down. We still have the March and April tax drain periods to deal with, but there's a couple of things I want to talk about today. Number one is, going back to a theme I talked about yesterday, which is focusing on, the big picture, focusing on that navigation. I use the analogy of the GPS system, like, you're out there on the open ocean, or you're a pilot in cloudy skies, and you have to rely on your navigation. And the navigation that I talk to you guys about are these fiscal flows. And I want to try to build confidence in you with respect to having this as those are your instruments. Those are the things, you could be so, nowadays, let's face it, folks, nowadays you can be so influenced by the news. It's a constant flow of media. It's a constant flow of internet chatter. It's a constant flow of blogs and people. And a lot of that, let's be honest, a lot of that is selling doom and gloom. That people have created entire personal industries for themselves. You look at somebody like Peter Schiff. You look at somebody like, I don't know, there's so many to name. Harry Dent, I think, is another one of these guys who just, the doom and gloom, they've built personal fortunes on that. Okay? I'm not into that. I don't need that. The main thing I do, I've been a trader for over 40 years. As you know, I've been a member of 4 different exchanges. I've said that. I've been a floor trader. I do my own stuff, but I'm trying to help you with the understanding of MMT, and more importantly, the understanding of have that macro picture in your head. Have certain attributes like patience. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not going to get big into that. Anyway, so the market was up today, and again, we see the fiscal flows. They're very positive. They're going to stay positive, even though we're going to go through, and I'm telling you this right now, so don't attack me later on, or don't say I didn't warn you. We're going to have March and April tax drains, but on balance, over the year, not only is the government adding balances to the economy, financial balances, but like I said, because of what's happening with interest rates, the balances being added it's like a whole new entire COVID stimulus. Only, it doesn't require a congressional appropriation or anything else like that. And I think I said yesterday, and I think I said earlier in the video, depending on where the Fed goes, we could be talking about 9 trillion annually, or close to 9 trillion, 8 point something trillion annually of flows, leading spending flows into the economy. I mean, think about that. And it is all being portrayed, or it is all being rationalized, if you want to even use that term, as negative because rates are going up. And I spoke about rates earlier today. I said it's, when you talk about something like rates, when you talk about something like inflation, when you talk about something like taxes, well, taxes in the net are bad if they are a net removal. But if it's just they take it out and then they put it back in, it's a redistribution. The economy, it goes back again, folks, to it's the swimming pool. I came up with that analogy, that metaphor, and it's the swimming pool metaphor. Is the water going up? Is it being drained out? Or is it staying the same? Now, I know some of you have come back at me, not in a hostile manner. You say, well, my industry is not doing well, and I understand that. I'm here trying to help you make money as investors, number one. Number two, or maybe number one, I'm trying to help you understand the macro picture and MMT. And from that, I think you should be able to make money. And if you make money in this country, it's a great country if you make money in this country. And maybe that's a sad thing to say, I don't know, but let's face it, that's a reality. I want to talk about something else today, which has to do with mental toughness. And, I know I've explained to you guys that I went on that trip a couple of weekends ago. Actually, it's going to be like 2 weeks removed tomorrow. I went on that trip to Washington State, and I did that weekend survival course, and it was brutal. It was brutal, and I thought I was a tough guy, and I think physically I'm tough. But I don't know if I'm tough so much that mentally in that regard, because I could not handle, like, we slept. It was raining constantly. It was cold. I slept under a tarp. I had bad equipment. My sleeping bag sucked. Blah blah blah. I told you the whole story, and I had to force myself to compartmentalize the time. I said, like, all during the night when it was raining on me and it was cold and I was wet, I was soaking wet. And it was like, just think about the next 30 minutes. Just think about the next 30 minutes. Because if I looked at my watch, forget it. I would have gotten in my car and drove away. I don't care what time of the night it was. And it was, on a dirt road in the middle of the woods. I don't even know if I would have found my way out of the woods, but I would have freaked out. But today, I don't know if any of you watched this show, Special Forces World Toughest Test. It was on Fox. It's been on like for the last, 6 or 8 weeks, maybe longer. If you have, let me know in the comments that you've watched this. But this show, it intrigued me, first of all, from the standpoint of, like, yeah, you got all these, like, you got not so much like super famous, but like known people, famous people. They come from all walks of life. There's some like major athletes, or there's, other people who are kind of like nobodies, not physically conditioned. You had Dwight Howard, who was an NBA superstar. You had Mike Piazza, who was a Baseball Hall of Fame guy. You had Danny Amendola, who was, I think, 2-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. You had a lot of tough people, and you had you had other people there. You had this Hannah Brown, who's just like, she was famous, if you want to say famous, because she was on the Bachelor or something, or the Bachelorette. And you had Carly Lloyd, who was she was on a couple of U.S. soccer teams that won gold medals. I was fascinated by this show. I don't know if you guys were. But all these tough guys, in the end, all of these tough guys, including Dwight Howard, is like, was 6'11" or 6'10" or something, muscles, out to here. You know who won this show in the end? This test of, like, it wasn't so much, it was physical. Even had this guy, Anthony Scaramucci, this freaking, I could give you a whole story about this guy because, well, that's for another time. We know Scaramucci was like 10 days or 11 days as Trump's White House communications officer, and then he was kicked out. Whatever. Anyway, there was a smattering of people on there. In the end, who were the winners? It was Hannah Brown, who was on like The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, and Carly Lloyd, who was on the soccer team. And by the way, Carly Lloyd, nothing against being on the soccer team that won the gold medal, but she failed like most of the physical tests that they had to go through. But in the end, mentally, she outperformed and she outlasted the men. These strong men. I mean, look, like Dwight Howard is like 6'11". He's freaking huge, man. Like Danny Amendola, toughest guy, and I actually had him picked as the guy who was going to win the show. When the show started, I said to myself, he's going to win. Like, this guy's tough. I remember watching him playing for the Patriots. He's a tough dude. And he quit. And Hannah Brown. I mean, Hannah Brown is like, she's like the sweetest, most like, she's the softest, sweetest, most compliant. But in the end, it all came down to this. These two women at the end, Hannah Brown and Carly Lloyd. I swear to God, if you didn't watch this show, you can go online and you get it on Fox. You just, if you Google Special Forces World Toughest Test, all the episodes are on there. They're free. You don't have to, be aligned with any particular TV provider or service provider. They're all free. You can watch it. But I was amazed. And to me, this is another testament to what it means to be like mentally strong. Like, you could take the strongest physical person. And again, I thought I was strong. And when I went out into that test in the woods, I'm not that strong. And with the mental stuff, and this, I'm going to segue now because this is what the market does to you. I've always said that if the market was a person, if it was an individual, its job would be to test you, to test your fortitude, to test your focus, all right? To test your discipline and your concentration, to be able to block out the things that are triggering to your emotion. And most people can't do that. Most people can't do that. And then they either keep on looking for some like system fairy that's going to help them get them there. There's some technical charting procedure that's going to get them there, or there's I don't know what, there's algorithmic trading, or there's computerized trading or something like that. They're going to look for a system fairy. I know, I did that over so many years of my life. I did that, and you know what, I keep using Warren Buffett as an example because there's no better example. The guy owns Coca-Cola. It's like, what? Did he discover like the next Amazon or the next? No, he never did. So I don't know how else to impress this upon you, but here's the thing. Know the fundamentals. The MMT understanding is going to give you the fundamentals. It's going to tell you like what these flows are. If the swimming pool, I tried to distill this down, and distill is maybe the wrong word. I don't know, because it's water or whatever. I tried to narrow this down into the most basic concept that I could think. Is the swimming pool filling up, or is the swimming pool going down? And if the swimming pool is filling up, and sometimes it's going to get some drainage because we got taxes and stuff like that, but as long as it's filling up, that's basically all you have to know. And that's how Warren Buffett became, like, I don't know, he's like the 4th or the 5th richest person in the whole entire world. And I've always said this, like, he's never invented anything, no new industry, no new innovation, no new product, nothing like that. I mean, what more can I tell you? Anyway, this show, and I'd love to hear your comments if you watch this show, but congratulations to Hannah Brown and Carly Lloyd. I never thought, especially Hannah Brown, I mean, she's so sweet and she's so, like, soft, you know, and, like, she just mentally outdid those big, strong guys. If that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what does. Folks, you don't have to be something particularly special, but in a sense you do, because it's like, can you withstand? Can you withstand? That's the only question life asks of you. And when we're talking about the markets, when we're talking about investing, I mean, it's doing that to you constantly.